Hello viewers, and welcome once again to another insightful edition of Business Summit. I'm your regular host, Eunice Peregrino-Date. The government of Ghana has recognized micro, small and medium enterprises as the engine through which economic growth, employment generation and poverty reduction can be achieved. In this episode, we are privileged to have with us the Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry in the person of Honorable Tetteh to take us through the role of the Ministry of Trade and Industry in supporting micro, small and medium enterprises to propel the economic growth of Ghana. You're welcome, madam.
Thank you very much.
We'd like to take a quick break. When we return, we'll take it on. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. Madam, can you briefly tell us what the mandate and policies of the Ministry of Trade and Industry is in relation to micro, small and medium enterprises?
Well, the mandate of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, generally speaking, is to put in place policies, execute programs that will help Ghana to become more competitive on the international trading landscape, to create opportunities for our industrial sector to grow and thrive, to make sure that as much as possible we have the application of technology, to provide training and skills and capacity development for different sectors of our industrial and manufacturing environment, and also the private sector generally, to be able to, through its implementing agencies, provide specific support services for different private sector areas, and then to make sure that on a continuous basis we take the steps to make sure that domestically and then internationally, goods made in Ghana, products that are made in Ghana, businesses that are located in Ghana have the opportunity, as I said, to grow and to thrive. And that goes from the micro businesses, which are really at the smallest level of the scale, to the larger multinationals who also locate in our country and who also have to be successful to be able to give endorsements about Ghana as an investment destination to the rest of the world. Now, specifically to do with the micro, small and medium enterprises, we have two organizations through which, well, three really, through which we channel our support activities. We have the National Board for Small Scale Industries, and we also have Gratis.
Okay.
And then we have a program that is ongoing and has been ongoing for over 10 years now, called the Rural Enterprises Project, which is funded by IFAD. Now, the National Board for Small Scale Industries is an implementing agency of the Ministry of Trade and Industry and has as its focus providing business development support services to the micro, small and medium enterprise sector, to help them to have access to finance, to help with skills development, and to promote the growth of the MSE sector nationwide. And we have 110 district offices for the NBSSI. The difference between the Rural Enterprises Project and NBSSI is that the Rural Enterprises Project works directly with district assemblies to create business advisory centers in the district assemblies and to create a platform thereby for the district assemblies to help in skills training, access to capital, and also in other support activities that help to grow that sector, and also to provide equipment, technology training centers. And in some cases, we've also been able to support with apprenticeship kits and things like that. And that is operational currently in 66 districts. That program in its current phase has 2 years to run, and we are looking to see how we can upscale its activities nationwide so that the Rural Enterprises Project works not only in the limited number of district assemblies where it is present, but all across the country. Gratis is another organization that has as its mandate providing supporting equipment and skills training to micro and small enterprises. So with Gratis, you have they've been able to create specific plant and equipment like oil palm processing machinery, dairy processing machinery, brick and tile processing equipment, all locally produced, and also spares for plant and equipment, in order to be able to support the sector.
Can you please tell us how committed really is government in supporting micro, small and medium enterprises to propel the economy, as we have heard and seen in documents you know, from time immemorial.
Previous governments and the current administration have been committed in supporting the sector. And in this administration, we are particularly focused on the area because most Ghanaian businesses are in the informal sector. Indeed, over 80% of our businesses are in the informal sector. And most of those informal businesses are the micro, small, and medium enterprises. So it means that it's a significant sector of our productive economy.
Which is informal.
Which is informal, and which needs assistance to be able to formalize and grow.
Absolutely.
Because formalization is not just about making sure that you're incorporated at the Registrar General's Department. But once your business is properly documented and you have records, then it's easier for you to access finance. Then it's easier for you to participate in programs, because it's possible for people to evaluate your performance record
over time
and to see how best any intervention can help. Whereas when you just get up and say, oh, I have a business, I've been doing this. I mean, what is there to show that
you
indeed
really are in business?
That's what you've been doing? And when you are using government funds, the onus is on government to make sure that they are used responsibly.
Absolutely.
And so helping to formalize businesses so that they have proper records is key to being able to provide the kind of government intervention that would make a difference in those businesses' activities.
Are there any critical milestones that the Ministry of Trade for Trade and Industry wishes to attain within the short, medium, long term that you want you know, the general population to know about, and for which we can also be tracking to see what benefits can come to the sector?
Well, we actually have a World Bank funded project here called the MSME project. That's the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises project. And therefore, with funding from the World Bank, we are able to provide support for particular projects, and those key projects have been defined. We are working with the Ministry of Communications to set up an IT park. We're providing support to the garment sector by providing a new transformer for the garments factories that are working at Ajabing.
Okay.
We've invested also in the Free Zone Enclave, but in the multi-purpose industrial park segment of the Free Zone Enclave, to also help to provide the support services for businesses that have located there. We also have, as one of the projects under the MSME project, the development of a furniture city. In other words, an area where we will have several smaller carpentry enterprises working, but having access to shared facilities, so that things that they wouldn't be able to purchase on their own would be there, you know, for them as in common, and they will be able to access them and be able to work with them. We've also worked with the Association of Ghana Industries to help them establish subcontracting partnerships between smaller firms and larger firms, so that some of those businesses can be outsourced. So in this particular project, we actually have key projects and therefore performance indicators that will determine whether or not we are fulfilling our mandate.
The short, medium, or long term.
Yes. We also have, under that same project, an access to finance component, which we are currently working out with the International Finance Corporation. So we do have things that are ongoing and which we're using to support the sector. So when you ask me the question, what is government's commitment? Government is very committed, because it is through these interventions that we are looking to support the sector.
How accessible is finance to the micro, small and medium enterprises? Because we know, even from this show, that there are quite a number of organizations or projects, programs that are offering support in terms of financing to micro, small and medium enterprises.
Well, it's always easier to make finance available, as I said, where there's some documentation. Even if you don't have proper incorporation records, but you've been keeping your accounts so that someone can see how your business is performing, they are able to assess the risk. A lot of the times, you know, a lot of small businesses don't realize that if someone is lending money to you, he wants to be able to assess the risk. What are your chances of repaying? Now, normally when we do micro lending through the rural banks to groups, especially groups of women, where they act as collateral for one another, because they repay as a group, and so there's an amount of peer pressure. The reason why they do it that way is because they want to make sure that there is a system for recovering the funds that are on lent. And so in every situation, for people who are working in that sector, I would emphasize that record keeping is key.
It's important.
Because it's the only way that someone can make a decision to finance you as an individual. when they're able to come and see what you've done, see, have an idea of who your customers are, see what kind of turnover you do. And that is very lacking in the way we do our business at the moment. The tendency is, I just keep things in a record that only I understand. Well, it's not good enough. And the more people are able to provide some kind of structured record keeping, the easier it is for people to make an assessment of their creditworthiness.
Okay. We've all heard that it's important to formalize our business operations in order for us to be able to access potential services and benefits that are bound in this country. We'll go on a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. Well, we also want to find out from you, Honorable Minister, what are other programs, interventions that you would want the population of Ghana to know about, especially micro, small and medium enterprises? What is really on your heart to communicate to micro, small and medium enterprises who are watching us right now that you think will help address some of the pertinent and critical needs that they have?
One of the reasons why we're looking to restructure the National Board for Small-Scale Industries to improve on its ability to deliver its mandate.
Okay.
Because I quite agree with you that a lot of these key interventions should be known to the people who are supposed to be the beneficiaries. And the organization in this ministry that has the ability to do that is NBSSI.
Yes.
And so if over the years NBSSI has not been able to do that, then it tells you that there's something wrong with the way that they're working. And that's the reason why we're thinking about how best to reorganize and restructure it within, the next 6 months
time,
in order to be able to help it to more effectively deliver on its mandate.
Okay.
What I would say is that we as a ministry are not just working through our implementing agencies. We're also working with district assemblies. We want to have a greater amount of decentralization of our activities because we don't consider it appropriate, as far as this government is concerned, to have most of our activities centered around our principal cities, where we have Ghanaians living all across the country. I mentioned earlier the private sector development strategy. Now, the first time we had a private sector development strategy ran from 2004 and is coming to an end this year in 2009. We call that PSDS1. Initially, when we started the implementation of the strategy, we were among the top 10 reformers in the world.
Wow.
But a lot of those reforms were IT-based, creating, helping to put in place public sector reforms to create what we called
reforms.
Yes, an enabling environment.
Okay.
And some of those reforms have worked pretty well. We've slowed down over the last, especially 2008, which was an election year and nothing much got done. And 2009, we've been implementing the projects, but we've had some financial challenges. And what we've done is that we've developed the private sector development strategy phase 2 to take care of the next 5 years, where we are taking on board the projects that were not completed from PSDS1, which we are calling legacy projects, because we think they're still important to implement. And now looking not only at business enabling environment reforms, which should make it easier for businesses at all levels, including the micro, small and medium enterprises to interface with government, but we're also looking at firm interventions. In other words, how can government directly help businesses to be more competitive?
Right.
How can we create Ghanaian winners, if you like? How can we build up businesses, encourage more people to get into enterprise, not necessarily a situation where people come out of schools and they automatically think that they ought to have a job.
Yes. And
they are ready to start thinking of how they can work for themselves. That necessarily involves more close relationships and closer working relationships between this ministry, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Employment and Social Welfare, the Attorney General's Department and Ministry of Justice, because quite a bit of this will involve legal reform, and the Ministry of Local Government, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture. And in developing this strategy, it hasn't just been government. We have worked also with key organizations from the private sector to come up with the concept and to refine it. So it's not government's private strategy. It is Ghana's private sector development strategy.
Right.
so that we can all have the necessary buy-in and commit ourselves to it and work towards achieving it and see ourselves do better on all those competitiveness performance indicators.
Okay, that sounds really great, and I'm really interested in that firm level interventions that you talked about. What are some of the specific programs within that area?
We're looking at access to finance. We're also looking at capacity building. We're also looking at application of technology and innovation, and how best to make those available to businesses that we think, and we will define the businesses that should benefit from these interventions, not only through government, but working with the private sector.
Okay.
So as I said, it doesn't look like government's largesse or government supporting one business over the other. They are based on where we think as a country
areas, probably,
we will have the most significant impact if we make these investments on creating jobs, on being able to add value to our local products and services, and generally being able to put ourselves on the map as far as industrial and manufacturing development is concerned. I
also want to find out, is there any other information you want to share with us? I mean, so far we've gone through a host of programs and interventions that the ministry has been involved in. Probably there's something else that I haven't touched on which is quite dear to your heart that you would really want to share with the target population.
I think I would add, as a last point, standards. One of the implementing agencies of the Ministry of Trade is the Ghana Standards Board. And a lot of our exports are agro products or food products, so they are also regulated by the Food and Drugs Board. Now, we must realize that when we are exporting to a foreign market, that market normally has standards. And we have to export in accordance with those countries' standards and regulations. And the Ghana Export Promotion Council, the Ghana Standards Board, has the facilities and the information available if you take the trouble to go and check with them. So you know what you need to do before you enter into a particular market. And I'm mentioning it because we very frequently get notices, especially from the various EU offices, of Ghanaian products that have been destroyed or have been earmarked by one inspection agency or the other, simply because they haven't met their standards, and so they've been banned. And, you know, as we send more of these things out and these kind of warnings come back, of course, it makes them scrutinize what comes from Ghana with a lot more intensity and gives us a lot more problems. And so it's easier for all concerned if you take the trouble to find out. It doesn't matter how small or how large your business is, because some people export palm oil, some people export yam, some people export pepper. I mean, there's all sorts of things going from Ghana to Europe, especially to the very large Ghanaian and African communities, which are like the diaspora communities that like our foods and the things that we do. Even if you are doing it to our taste, it must meet their standards. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. Not only problems for your business, because then you can't get back into that market, but you create problems for all other Ghanaian exporters who want to do business in those markets.
Thank you so much for spending time with us. Well, viewers, we've had the privilege of having the Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry, Tetteh, who's taking us through some of the roles, responsibilities, and support that the government of Ghana is offering micro, small, and medium enterprises. We'll take you through to the Doing Business in Ghana segment. Before we go, I'd like to thank Alia Beauty Palace for my beautiful hair and makeup, True Words for my outfit, Mobilia Showroom for IKEA furniture. Thank you and keep watching Business Summit. Hello Jemima, we are glad to have you on Business Summit. Our discussion today is going to focus on formalizing business operations in Ghana. What measures has the Registrar General's Department undertaken to ensure that they are roped into the business environment, to the more formalized business environment?
For one thing, I think we've started doing a lot of sensitization, and we've set up a front office. I'm sure when you came in, you were very surprised to find out how the whole place has changed. Okay, so now we have a front office with on-site bank. We have a software in place that is able to do searches within less than 5 minutes. In the past, it used to take us about a day or two. So we've computerized our operations. We have a help desk in place. We have a customer service in place. The whole idea is to make our services available to the public. Secondly, we have regional offices. This is not the only place doing registrations. We have one office in Takoradi, secondly Takoradi. We have one office in Kumasi, and we're currently setting up in Tamale. So we want to bring businesses to the doorstep of the SMEs. Most importantly, thirdly, we are linking them up through a wide area network, and we have a local area network in place for all those offices. So we're talking before the end of the year, we want a scenario where you can walk into our regional offices and register your businesses
without having to come down to Accra.
Without having come to Accra, yes. And that will also reduce the cost
of doing
business.
What does it take to register a business in Ghana? And how cumbersome is it?
Well, we have forms that are simplified for anybody to understand how to complete it. Currently, we have to have all those forms typed. In time, we're coming up with new forms that you can fill yourself in block letters so that it will also cut out the cost of typing. But you necessarily need to do a search. Right. That's the first thing you need to do. A search on the name and the objects of your company, because that is what we'll look out for. Because I remember I talked of uniqueness.
Yes.
Everybody must have a name that is unique to them, their objects, and then their personality. So once you do a search, we ensure that it does not duplicate whatever is on the register. So you provide us with a name, you provide us with objects, you provide us with a location where we can locate you, because most people in this country don't even have a proper address. And so it's an issue for us. They come up with addresses, and when the company inspectors go after them, they could even be sitting in trees. So we need a proper address system in place. We need an identity of a passport number or a driving license number, because you see, business name registrations are not for foreigners. Partnerships are not for foreigners, but limited liability companies, external companies, and companies limited by guarantee can be for foreigners. So business names are mainly for Ghanaians, the SMEs, and so we'll need some form of identity that you are indeed a Ghanaian.
Is that what you call sole proprietorship?
Yeah, the business name is a sole proprietor. Okay, so that's the kind of information. And most importantly, we want you to sign the documents that you purchase from us, because people sign on behalf of others, and that is illegal.
Oh, that's illegal.
That is illegal. You do not sign the documents, the information you provide to us for somebody. Like you can't register a business for your brother or your sister. In case you want to do that, buy the forms from us, type it and send it to them by DHL or EMS or whatever form, and get it back to us. Because one day when something happens, it's that signature that is going to bear you out as the owner of that business.
What are the responsibilities of the business owner after registration?
This is a very good question. It's something that most people don't know. Every business name that is registered has to be renewed yearly to keep you on our register. We've currently put out a notice. We're going to strike out the names of businesses that have not renewed their businesses to date. And I have many of them sitting on our register. The limited liability companies have to file annual returns. And by that, they have to file it with audited accounts. And they should not file separate accounts for IRS and separate accounts for us. The same accounts they file with IRS, the same accounts they should file for us. Because businessmen also try and, do that kind of thing. So we ensure that you file your annual returns yearly, 18 months after incorporation, and then yearly after that.